Hey guys, Lyra Linx here, and welcome back to Dance at Dusk. This is chapter 10, so we have officially reached the halfway mark. So let's get right into it. Paul walked along the broken up cement, crunching leaves as he went. Ichigo Park. This was the place he'd first met Dawn, although she'd already forgotten. Troublesome girl. Paul stared out at the park. It wasn't as populated with children as it used to be. In fact, it was desolate. He walked over to an old wooden swing and sat on it, pumping his legs and swinging. As a kid, he'd always loved to come here with his parents. A single tear fell from Paul's eyes. He blinked and held back on any future tears. Now wasn't the time to be getting depressed. He couldn't shake away his thoughts, though. Kana Shinji. That had been his mother's name. She used to bring him to Ichigo Park all the time. That's where his mom and dad had met. It's a place full of love and good memories, she'd told him. I want you to make some memories here, too. You mean you want me to fall in love? Questioned young Paul. Maybe, said Kana, but not today. You're far too young to understand something as powerful as love. Mom, do you love me? She smiled down at him and ruffled his hair. Of course I do. Don't I tell you that every day? Paul hadn't realized he was crying until the flashback ended. Thousands of shiny, silver tears dropped from his eyes, sparkling like diamonds in the sun. How long had it been since the last time he'd cried? Another flashback began as he remembered a promise he'd made to his mother while at the park. Mom? Kana smiled down at him brightly. Yes? What is it, Paul? Do you think I'll find love? Kana chuckled. That's a weird thing to wonder about at your age. Paul blushed a bit. Well, none of the girls in my class like me. Kana thought for a moment. Your teacher says it's you who doesn't like them. Well, she's wrong. There is someone I think I like. Oh? Who's that? Her name's Dawn. She's really girly and stuff, but she's okay. Well then, his mother started. If you like her, promise me you'll always care for her, okay? Sometimes we women need someone to lean on. If she's ever in trouble, will you be there to protect her? Yeah, it can't be that hard. The boys in my grade are wimpy anyway, so it should be easy to keep her safe. Kana laughed and embraced Paul. All right then. Maybe you can invite her to play here with you sometime. Yeah. Paul wiped away some tears, gripping the ropes of the swing tightly as he fought to keep it together. This wasn't like him, to be weak like this. He was strong. Strong. Why was he crying? Paul, what's wrong? Paul turned quickly, cursing himself as he saw Dawn standing there in worry. He wiped away his tears and stood up, facing away from her. Did Reggie and I say something wrong? She placed a kind hand on his shoulder, but he shook her off. It isn't you. Don't ever think it's you. There's only one thing you could do to make me cry. Paul stopped. He wasn't ready to say this yet. Paul. Before she could ask any more questions, he asked her something. Do you remember the first time we met? Dawn nodded. Yeah, the first time we met you had a fight with Ash and... He cut her off. You really did forget. Dawn stepped back, a bit confused. What do you mean? That was the first time I ever saw you. Paul turned around, his eyes only mildly wet. You really are a troublesome girl. Just forget it. If you can't remember, then stay away from me. You came here to know what I think of you, right? At first I thought... Never mind that. It's what I feel now that counts. And if you can't remember the first day we met, then I hate you. Whoa, okay. Paul ran off, deep into the woods along the forest and out of sight. Dawn stood there, staring down at her feet. Then it suddenly hit her. Back when we had first entered elementary school, the flashback began. Young Dawn had been scared and lost. She was walking home on her own and somehow ended up in the middle of nowhere. Help! Someone! Is anyone out there? It had all seemed hopeless, and she started to cry, not knowing if she'd ever see her family again. Then a strange boy appeared. His hair had been the softest shade of purple, and his eyes were slightly cold. He looked to be somewhere around her age. You there, girl with the weird blue hair. Are you lost? She puffed out her cheeks in anger. My hair is not weird. Yours is. The boy hissed a bit. Was going to help you out, but maybe you don't need it. As he started to walk away, Dawn attached to his arm. "Please don't go. I'm really lost." Paul grinned. "I thought so. Fine, I'll take you home. Where is it?" Dawn sniffled. "I don't know which way." Paul sighed. "You're a troublesome girl, aren't you? Fine, I might have a map." Dawn smiled and blushed a little as the boy fished through his bag and found his map. As he unrolled it, he asked, "What's your name anyway, troublesome?" "Dawn Berlitz. We moved here a while ago, and I'm just getting into elementary school." Paul seemed pleased. "Well, I'm Paul Shinji, and I'm also entering elementary school." "Then we might be going to school together," cheered Dawn. Paul flicked her chin. "Worry about that later. Don't you want to go home?" Dawn laughed. "Yeah, you're right. Lead the way." That had started everything. That day he'd brought her to the park. From that day on, Paul and Dawn had been friends. But everyone went off on their own journeys all too soon, forgetting about each other. How could she have forgotten the day they'd met? Dawn wandered off into the woods blindly. She didn't care if she got lost as long as she could find Paul. She remembered. She remembered and wanted him to know that. Paul Shinji. Yes, he'd been her first elementary school crush. Alright, and then there's an author's note. I hope you guys liked the chapter. I am trying my very best to update and I appreciate all the reviews. I never expected this to become so popular. Thank you for everything and be sure to check out my other stories. Thank you all so much. So, I feel like this is sort of like an alternate universe type story where like, oh, what if Dawn and Paul had met sooner and all this stuff? Because there's like the mention of Ash and his journey, but they don't really make use of their Pokemon or anything in this. For a lot of my stories, shipping wise, I feel like I didn't really incorporate them truly into the Pokeverse. And I just kind of made up their own little worlds where they could be together, aside from maybe a few stories. But I feel like maybe it would have been better if I had tried to tell a tale from like the anime leading into them meeting up again or something. I think I tried to do that at one point with a story and it's only like a chapter long and incomplete, but yeah. Anyway, it's just kind of weird how I incorporated all of these things that don't actually technically exist. Chapter 10 reviews. Cookies and creamness. Aw, this is so sweet and cute. I love it. EVX me. OMG, that was so emotional. Anxious idea and adorable at the same time that my eyes are really watery now. Skitty13. Young love. It's like love at first sight. Unless it is. Either way, cute chapter. Red Hood Lover. Is it weird that chapter made my happiness meter skyrocket? I was in kinda a not so good mood, but reading your stuff made me happy. Monday the Trainer. We are getting ready to hit the climax. Reading nice reviews like this really makes me miss doing this. I used to update like every day because it was something that was fun for me and it seemed like, in the case of Red Hood Lover, it made other people happy, other people enjoyed it, and that was something so cool to me. It really, really, really makes me miss doing this. But yeah, it's been really fun to be able to read back through these and kind of remember what's gone on. Anyway, that's it for this chapter. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content, and I really hope to see you in another video. Bye!